Hey everybody, today we've got a really fun and relatively fast sew for the Fanny Franny bag. This bag has two different ways it can be made. It can be a crossbody or a fanny back type styled bag. I will walk you through on how to do both versions of that bag. What makes the Fanny Franny different is that it has a clear front and this really cute pouch that goes right inside of it. This is going to have a lot of really fun artwork that's going to come out. There's going to be a lot of different designs for all the future rounds. I love the style. It's very small, and what makes it even better, in my opinion, is the versatility of this back panel. Now, this back panel, you can just do a plain back panel. You didn't have to put anything in there, or you could just do card slots, which is what I did for this version. This bag measures approximately 7.5 inches long, 4.5 inches wide, and almost 1.5 inches in thickness here. So it's a very fun bag, and I think it's time we go ahead and get started sewing it. All right, general tools that I am going to be using include my awl, some double-sided tape. I've got multiple sizes here. I've got 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 inch. I've got marking tools. I've got various ones. I've got a pair of snips. I've got an X-Acto knife. I've got a turning tool. Got my lighter, just in case. A ruler. This is from More Me Know. I've got my rivet guide. Got my hole punch. And I've got my clips just in case. I kind of was like, I'm missing something here. These are my general tools that I'll be using throughout my video. For the Franny, we need 2 zip tabs. We need our clear window. We need our back panel. We need our matching linings to that. Our zipper pocket linings, which I have all combobulated here. Our exterior zipper pockets. Our card slot strip, our card slot size, so there should be 2 of those. Our zipper gusset lining, our zipper gusset exterior, our bottom gusset lining, our bottom gusset exterior, our 2 strap connectors in an exterior material, our 2 strap connectors in a lining material, and 2 D-rings. These options will depend on which you decide to do. You could do the crossbody, which would be the D-ring connectors, or you could do the fanny pack, which would be the strap connectors. The strap connectors. For the Franny, you're going to want a piece of zipper tape that's cut to the zipper gusset length, maybe a little bit longer. You're going to want a 5-inch strip of zipper tape. This is both number 5s, 2 zipper pulls. If you're doing the crossbody, you're going to want 2 D-rings, and if you're doing the fanny pack, you're going to want one of these fanny back connectors. I'm sure that's got a name. What is it? Those are called parachute buckles. So you're going to want 1 set of that. If you go this option, I will be using a 3 to 4 inch strip of webbing and a 35-inch cut of webbing as well. So we're going to work on the Franny's pouch. I'm not sure if that's its exact name, but that's what we're going to call it for this video. What you need is your 2 outer exteriors, your 2 lining panels. You need 2 zipper tabs, 1 zipper pull, and a 5 to 5 1/4 inch zipper tape. I've gone ahead and found the centers on my zipper tape and put 1/8 inch double-sided tape on all 4 sides to make my life a little easier. You're going to want to take your zipper tab. You're going to want to fold that in half. And then you're going to open it up, and then you're going to take those edges and you're going to fold it to that center line you just made. And you're going to press that really well. So that's what your zipper tab should look like. You're going to want to go ahead and add your zipper pull to your zipper tape. And then you are going to stick your zipper tabs, just like a hat, right on top of the zipper tape with the pull. You will notice that, yes, it is longer. We are going to trim that down and singe the edges. But for right now, this is what it needs to look like. We are going to go to the machine and we are going to sew this on 1/8 of an inch, back stitching really good right on the tape so that that stays put. All right, so let's go take care of that real quick. Now we're going to go back to the table. We are going to trim the zipper tab down. After we do that, we are going to take the lighter and we're going to singe that. Being that it's waterproof canvas, we don't want that to fray or do anything else it's not supposed to do. Now we're ready to move on. Yes, I sewed my double-sided tape on because I'm special, but hey, I can do this. I'm going to pick one of my exterior panels, line up the centers, and I'm going to push that down. And then I'm going to remove this back tape. And I'm going to take one of the linings and then I'm going to line up that center. And I will clip where that does not meet. All right. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew it 1/4 of an inch all the way down. So let's go to the machine. I'm going to go ahead and take these with me so that we can finish the pouch at the machine. I'm going to Then you are going to fold your lining over, and then we are going to top stitch this. From one side to the other at 1/8 of an inch. I will repeat this exact same process with the other two panels. Pull this out. And now I'm going to top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch all the way down. We're going to open our zipper pocket up at this point. Grab some clips because you're going to want them. You're going to put right sides together, lining up your corners. I'd always start with the corners first. Then lining up the lining. Now you're going to take these two seams and you're going to push them down. You want them to go toward the lining. And then I'm going to clip it. Make it good and tight, and I'm going to clip the rest of that side. And I'm going to do it again on this side. They should naturally want to go that way, but you never know. Because we do have to turn this bag inside out, we want to leave a hole in the bottom, and this is waterproof canvas. Now my secret is that I do like to use a heat gun to heat up the waterproof canvas and vinyl to make it more pliable. If you don't use a hairdryer or a heat gun, then yes, you're going to want a little bit bigger hole so that you can turn this inside out. Also going to want to snip the corners when we are done. Another tip I'd recommend is that normally you're going to want to sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You're going to want to do that for up here. We're going to stay at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But then when we get down here, if we want this to fit nice and snug, we're going to have to up that seam allowance just a little bit. So I'm going to take it from 1/4 to 3/8, just so it will sit nicely inside the vinyl exterior. So I'm going to start about 1 inch to 1.5 inches from the bottom here. I'm going to go around at 3/8, go up around 3/8, and then when I get about to, I don't know, maybe 1 inch from the top, I'm going to downsize to 1/4. Then I'm going to sew at a 1/4 seam allowance all the way around this. Then transfer back at 1 inch down, going to transfer back to that 3/8 where I finish it up. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to trim my corners. Crazy there. You don't want to cut the threads, so be very careful. And again, I'm going to heat mine up with a blow dryer. Feel free to go ahead and turn it as is, but I'm going to use a blow dryer for mine. All right, I'm going to pull this lining through. And the reason we want to do that is because we've got to seal the bottom. I'm going to, once I got the corners all pressed out real nice and pretty there, I'm going to fold this in. I'm going to use a clip to hold in place. And then I'm going to sew this closed with 1/8 inch all the way across the bottom, backstitching really good to secure it. Once that's closed up, you can stick your lining back inside. Poke the corners back in the corners. Alright, so that's what this zipper pocket will look like. So we can set this aside till the end. When you're working on the credit card slot side of the panel, you are going to want to make some lines. Decide which side is going to be the top and which side is going to be the bottom. From the top, you are going to draw a line that's 3 inches down. Then you're going to draw another line that's 1 3/4 inches from this line. And then from this line, you will draw another line that's 2 1/4 inches away. From this line, you will draw another one that's 1 3/4 inches. Then from here, you will draw another one that's 2 1/4 inches. And then you will draw one final line that is 1 3/4 inches, so that you will be able to do your credit card slots. So one more time, 3 inches down, 1 3/4 inches, 2 1/4, 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 3 1/4. Once we get there, we are going to use a ruler to help us fold that. So the easiest thing to do, just to go ahead and get us started, I will fold this one up right on that line. Then I will use a ruler, line it up right there against that line, and I will flip this down, and I will give this a really nice press. Then I will flip this back up so that I can press at my next line like that. Line my ruler up, press this down, press it a little bit, pull that out, press, lift this up, press, put my ruler in, press, and then obviously you can clip to hold this in place. Now you are free to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch all 3 of these. Just make sure that you move things out of the way to top stitch. Once you get yourself top stitched, I would recommend, you don't have to, but I would recommend also just kind of basting these down. But again, you don't have to do that. You're going to need your card slot sides, and then we are just going to put these face down, right sides together, and we are going to clip these in place like so. We will take this to the machine where we will sew at 1/4 of an inch to secure this. We will flip it open and then top stitch to make sure that those don't move. Once you get that done, I'm going to press this open really wide, and then I'm going to top stitch on this side down here. When you get to this part, you want to make sure that you are the same size. Sometimes when they might print a little wonky. It might just go a little funky on you. So what I would do is make sure you found the centers on, specifically maybe the credit card slot itself. And then of course finding the center on your panel. And then using those as a guide so that you can figure out what you need to trace and cut off. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a really quick trim. And there is your credit card slots. Now for the Franny, you are just going to take the credit card slots and the back panel, and you are going to clip this all the way around so that we can baste it. Together. Like that. So that is ready to go to the machine. For the crossbody version, for D-rings, you are going to do this just like we always do. You're going to find the center. That was not a very good line, Nefarious. And then I'm going to use some double-sided tape. And I'm going to take the ends and fold them to the center line we just drew. At the sewing machine, I'm going to sew your choice, 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. I think I'm going to do a 1/4 inch all the way around, and then I will attach the D-ring and set these to the side. So I'm going to go sew these up real quick. Once you get these all sewn up, I'm going to attach the D-rings. I'm going to clip. You could baste these clothes if you choose, but I'm just going to clip them. And then for now, I will set those to the side. So if you are deciding to do the strap connector option, now obviously there are a few ways you could do it. You could decide to do D-rings here. If you decide to do like a regular crossbody strap connector, since this is a fanny pack, I'm going to show you how to use a parachute buckle. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the piece the clip buckle goes into. I'm going to thread this through just like this. And I'm just going to have this sit still for a minute. You're going to want to go ahead and like find the centers because you don't want your fanny to be like lopsided. I mean, you might. I don't, but you might. I'd like it to be somewhat lined up. Then I'm going to take this and I am going to center my webbing right over that snip I just made. Now I'm probably going to pull this in about 1 inch. Yeah. I'm going to clip that to hold. It still looks wonky. There we go. Then I'm going to take the lining side and I'm going to put it face down. And I'm going to clip all the way around so that this doesn't move. All right, so that one's ready for the machine. For this one, same thing, find your center. Find your center. Then take your long webbing strap and line it up. You can go over a little bit if you like. I'm probably going to go same like I did on the other one, 1 inch. All right, looks good. I'm going to use a clip to hold it in place, and then I'm going to take my lining side and I'm going to put it face down. And then I'm going to clip this down. so it doesn't move. Don't know where that came from. So now I'm going to take this to the machine, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and then I'm going to sew 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I will snip those corners, and then I will heat this up with a blow dryer to turn it out. Triangle tip, not cutting through the threads right there, and then I will turn this out. The best thing to do is to heat this up because it is waterproof canvas and vinyl, so that's what I'm going to do. After you get this out, now you have the option to top stitch this if you so choose. I will not be doing that, but what I will do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to find the center. Just like that. And I'm going to repeat the same process for the other strap connector. I'm going to find the center again, just like I did for the other one. And we're done with this. So you're going to need your back panel, and I had you find the centers for a reason. You're going to take your strap connector and you are going to line up the center mark you made on the one side, on your edge here, to the side of the back panel. And then you are going to clip in place. And then you are going to do the same thing with its twin over here. After which you are going to want to baste these down. I'm going to roll up my webbing so that we can do the rest of the strap later. I don't want it to get in the way now. So I'm going to go baste this down and then we will move on. So we're going to work on the zipper gusset. You're going to need to have your zipper gusset exterior and lining, the bottom gusset lining, and your zipper and your zipper pull. For this, I will be using my 1/8 inch double-sided tape, which seems to have walked off again. The first thing I'm going to suggest is that you find your centers on your zipper gusset. You'll notice that you only have one of those. So you're going to need to find the center mark here. I'm going to use something darker than blue. Then I'm going to put the tape on my vinyl here. Trying something new, living dangerously. I'm gonna put the, oops. And then I'm going to put the zipper right sides together, or zipper face down on the exterior here. And I'm going to add some more tape right here. And And then I'm going to take the gusset line, or the zipper gusset lining, and put it face down on the wrong side of the zipper. I'm going to take this to the machine. I'm going to sew it at 1/4 inch. Just a little heads up and forewarning, when you go to sew this, because this zipper tape is, or this zipper gusset is so thin, make sure you sew on the right side. Just heads up. It's 1/4 inch. Make sure you backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. I'm going to line my centers up with the lining and the exterior here, lining up the edges here. Flip it around. Clip. I need one more clip. Alright. I'm going to top stitch all the way down. I'm going to pivot, go around, and sew this up so this is good and secured. Afterward, I'm going to attach my zipper pull so I don't forget to do that. It is just a wee bit frayy there. All right, friends, depending on which version you are making, whether it be the fanny pack or the crossbody, this is pretty much where we have to have a fork in the road. If you are doing the fanny pack, don't do this step. If you're doing the crossbody, do this step. This is just shy. The zipper and the zipper gusset is just shy of 2 inches. So you can take, if you're doing the crossbody, you can take your D-ring, line it up directly in the center here, and then we are going to base that on. To both ends. And this is only if you are doing the crossbody. So let me go ahead and do that real fast. If you are not doing the crossbody and you're just doing the fanny pack, you won't need the D-rings. So what you can do is you're going to go ahead and line up your exterior gusset, so right side to right side, and we're going to clip those together. And then you're going to take your lining and you're going to put it right sides together. And then you're going to repeat that for the same exact thing for the other side. I'm going to sew at 1/4 inch all the way across, back stitching really good at the beginning and the end. From here, I'm going to turn the bag like this and line everything up. I'm going to flip it right back out. What I want to do is I want to line the bottom gussets up really well because I will want to stitch those together. And I'll show you what I do to do this. And one more. Okay. So I'm going to start in the middle here. And I'm just going to be sewing this at 1/8 of an inch. Make sure you can see. Yep, you can see. I'll pull my threads to the side. All right, now I'm going to come up to this seam here, and I'm going to get to the point where I can pivot, and I'm going to top stitch across this seam at 1/8 of an inch. Pivot, continue 1/8 of an inch all the way down. And then I'm going to do it exactly again. Pivot, and down. If you didn't already, I would recommend you finding your centers. So I'm going to line up those 2 seams right there. Line up these 2 seams right here. And I'm going to find the centers here. I am going to make a small snip on my zipper. Even though it is clearly marked, I am making a tiny zip, which I would highly recommend you go back with your lighter and singe it so it doesn't fray. Alright. And then I need to find the centers on the side. So I'm going to line up the centers I just found. And I'm going to go doo, 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 doo. Oh look, I get to cut the zipper again. Doop, 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 doop. It's fine, it's fine, everything's fine. Alright. So this is ready now for us to put the whole bag together. Once we get the D-rings connected, we're going to want to attach our bottom gusset. So you're going to take right sides together, and then you're going to want to clip them together. And I seem to have misplaced all of my clips. Aha! Not anymore. And clip. And I'm going to repeat for the other side. Clip. Clip. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the lining. Lining it up with the exterior. Clip, clip, flip to the other side, clip, and clip. Then I'm going to sew across at 1/4 of an inch. Then we are going to flip it to where we have our linings together. So what that looks like is like this. And the reason we're going to do this is so we can sew the linings properly. You want those all nice and right. So I'm going to clip that. And clip that. This also gives me a chance to lay those seams down flat. If there's any like bubbling or if they're doing anything weird, I can press those down flat. Now I'm going to start here in the middle and I'm going to base stitch around. When I get to the seam, I'm going to pivot, top stitch this at 1/8 of an inch, pivot again and go down and repeat that process. Now you're going to find your centers. By doing that, you're going to line up your seams. So I'm lining up those two seams. And then I'm going to find my centers on the bottom on both sides. My centers on the top. Which one was already nicely marked. Okay. When you cut your zipper tape, you want to remember to go back after sewing and cinch that because you don't want it to fray. Then you want to line up those center marks you just cut so that you can find your side centers. Oh, I did that. That was silly. There's this one. This one. This one. Maybe. And this one. Okay. Now from here, you are ready to start constructing the bag. So from this point on, construction doesn't really matter if you have done the strap connectors or the D-ring connectors. So I'm going to start with the back, and as you can see, I've got my 4 cardinal points made and I've got my gusset. Now what you want to do is you want to line your right sides up. The zipper gusset goes against the back panel. You want the zipper to go to the front panel. So that's what we want to do here. So I'm going to line this up and I'm going to clip it. And I'm going to start with those 4 the 4 center marks that we found. To go ahead and get this going. Now you are going to have to make some snips, so let me grab my really good snips so that this lays flat. And you're going to want to snip around these curves, and you're going to do this on both the regular gusset and the zipper. Just remember that after sewing the zipper, you're going to want to go back and cinch it. All right, so what I like to do once I hit this point is I'm going to go around and I'm going to base this on 1/8 of an inch because then I'm going to turn around and bind it at 1/4 of an inch. However, you are totally okay to go on and sew this at 1/4 of an inch and then go back and do 1/8 of an inch. I do like the reinforced stitching so you don't see like pop stitching anywhere. So I'm going to sew this at 1/8 of an inch and then I'm going to bind it. One small thing I do want to call out is if you did any kind of pockets, whether it's the card slot or the slip pocket, I want to call out that when you are attaching it to your gusset, that you have them going the right direction. Don't be like Nefarious and have them installed upside down. Put them in the right side direction, guys. So that's just my note. Just thought I'd tell you all. I share that. So like I said, you can do an eighth, you can do a quarter. The whole purpose is to get this sewn together. Backstitch really good at the beginning and the end. Make sure there's no holes. All right, once we get to that point, you're going to want to grab your binding. Now this binding could be, it could be waterproof canvas, it could be, it could be cotton woven, it could be whatever you want. Mine is the 1/2 inch double fold bias, extra wide or something like that. I get it in bulk on Amazon. It's amazing. I'm just going to start by sticking it right there. No, I am not choosing a color that matches. I wanted it to stand out for everybody. And then from here, I will sew this on at 1/4 of an inch, backstitching really good at the beginning and the end. So that's ready for the next bit. The Franny has a clear window, which makes it a little more challenging, but nothing we can't handle. So there will be lots of cool artwork that you'll see here from K&A. You're going to want to go ahead and find the four centers on this piece. And just like we do on a regular panel, don't let this freak you out because it's plastic. Just, face down, right sides together here, and you're going to match those center points up. I don't know, in a weird sense, this might actually be easier than a regular set panel because, you can see everything. And then from here, we are going to sew this at 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, all the way around, just like we did the other side. After I get the panels stitched on, I'm going to go back with a lighter and I'm going to hit those areas that I snipped, specifically the corners and where I cut centers on that zipper tape. I'm going to hit that with a lighter, and then we are going to bind it. And then this bag is just about almost done. We'll have to add our pouch and voila. You may need to up the tension because of the clear vinyl. Your machine may be able to sew through it, have zero problems. I don't know. I've had it go both ways, so I just wanted to, if you do know that you've had issues in the past with clear vinyl, upping your tension is always a really good thing to do here. So that's what I like to do, just to make sure I'm not having any issues. So I'm going to backstitch really good as I go around. So after you get that done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to, like I said, just hit those corners that I singed, all the areas that I've cut. Be careful not to melt the plastic. And then this will be ready to bind. I'm going to go around and I'm going to stitch this on at 1/4 inch, backstitching really good at the beginning and the end. So here is where we would take our heat gun. Now, because the front panel is plastic, I would be very gentle. I would probably heat mostly just the back, but I'm going to use the heat gun to make this soft and pliable so I can turn this right side out. So when we get to this part, what we want to do is this right here will get caught in our zipper, and I'll show you how, of course, it's going to actually work that time, but it gets frustrating when it gets caught in your zipper. So what you want to do is we want to train this to lay down. So what you're going to want to grab is like some spare pieces of Decorative Heavy, Decorative Light, you know, just some stuff that you've got laying around that's extra. And you're going to want to like clip it downward like so. And the idea here is that we're just training this to lay down so it stays out of the zipper. And you want to have this lay down first and then go back and work on the corners. The corners are going to be just as problematic too. So I'm going to let this go for a little while, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit the corners, and then we'll be able to put her all together. Okay, so let's work on this strap. Make sure you have singed your webbing. You're going to need your slider doodad. You're going to thread it onto your slider. Hopefully all your hardware matches if you're doing this fanny pack method. Okay, then you're going to, like if you had a swivel hook or not, you're going to thread it on here. Mine is going to be tight because I think this is supposed to be a parachute hook, but my gosh, that is tight. Anyway, so now I've got this. I'm going to give myself lots of extra webbing here. Okay. Now, I'm going to go up through this one. So I'm going to line up with the strap closest to the back. I'm going to go back through the back here, take it down through the front. I want to do the fold over method. So it looks like this. And at this point you could use a rivet guide or a ruler to hole punch this and make it look super nice and professional. But today Nefarious says we're going to thrive in chaos and just eyeball it. Okay, that's what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my rivets in there. One, two, three, four. All right, and then I'm going to use my cam press real quick, set that. All right, and then after you have done that, yes, that is what that is supposed to look like. You can tighten or loosen this as much as you need to. So that is how you finish that strap. So that's how you finish that strap. So here is our Franny. As you can see, I've got the vinyl all trained back and she's ready to go. The only thing that would make her complete is her pouch. So now that she is now finished, that is the Fanny. I want to thank you for sewing along with me as we made the Fanny. Say that 3 times real fast. This is a fun little bag. I would say this is at most an adventurous beginner. There's nothing hard about it. Super, super easy to construct. Because of the clear front, I do recommend, like on domestics, that you up that tension just to be safe so you don't get any kind of looping. But it's a very fun bag. You can make it 2 different ways. You can make it with a crossbody, or you can make it as a fanny pack, which I have here. So I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to see all of your Frannies out in the wild. Make sure you're tagging K&A Custom Fabrics and your girl Nefarious Magic Cat, because we want to see them wherever they are. If you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe down below. So for now, ta-ta, and I'll see you around.